What's happening, everybody? Justin, Bridgewater's Finest on YouTube, Blockbuster_guy on Twitter. I hope you're not getting bored of the intro already. Welcome back to the 2012 Bridgewater's Finest Awards. As mentioned at the end of the last video, we're going to be moving into our sports section now, which I know the majority of my viewership is going to be very happy that we're going to be back to talking about sports. Now, I have different sections for sports, just sort of general sports awards, and mixed martial arts in particular. Now, for general sports, because general sports is so big, I thought there's no way I'm going to be able to do this alone. So I had to bring in a special guest to help me give out my sports awards. Say hello to Mr. Sports. Now, in case you can't tell exactly what this is, it's actually an alcoholic bottle holder. As you might mention, or as you might notice, rather, this is a bottle of Kahlua that is inside of this dude who is really all about sports. He's got his tennis racket here. He's got a soccer ball down here. He's got a basketball here. He's got his whistle. This guy is all about sports, just like I know many of you are. So he's going to be helping me give out my sports awards on the 2012 Bridgewater's Finest Awards show. So we're going to sit Mr. Sports back there, and the two of us are going to hand out a couple of awards on this video. We're going to be handing out 3, in fact. One is going to be Team of the Year. I have a top 10 list of the top 10 teams of the year across all sports that I pay any attention to. Also going to give out the awards for Coach of the Year. I have a top 5 list of my top 5 coaches of the year, as well as the very prestigious Sports Asshole of the Year award, and there's a lot of them. So despite the fact that there are a lot of assholes in sports, and there's a lot of competition for this award, honestly, it was a runaway victory. My award for Sports Asshole of the Year goes to the NHL, NHLPA, NHL owners, and NHL players. Congratulations, guys. I know you got your league back in order, and I know actually games began today, and you know what? I'm going to be the weak one, and I'm definitely going to be watching games. But at the same time, you guys were dicks. Ever since September, ever since your CBA expired, you guys were dicks. And, you know, every single one of you, you can't deny it. You're all dicks. You're my award winner for Sports Asshole of the Year. You agree with that, Mr. Sports? Mr. Sports said yes. Moving on to more important stuff. Coach of the Year. Now, there were a lot of really, really good coaches across football, baseball, basketball, hockey in the calendar year of 2012. It was hard to narrow it down to just 5. These are my top 5 coaches of the year. We're going to start at number 5, Ken Hitchcock, coach of the St. Louis Blues in the National Hockey League. Now, St. Louis really came out of nowhere last year in the NHL to actually win their division, and I'll just remind you, that's the division that has the Detroit Red Wings, and they've basically had a stranglehold on that division in the Western Conference of the NHL for a long time, and St. Louis really snuck up from behind, and St. Louis won that division and won their first round playoff matchup, and a lot of that had to do with the coaching. Ken Hitchcock has won a Stanley Cup in the past, did a great job coaching the St. Louis Blues this year. He is my number 5 coach of the year. My number 4 coach of the year is Buck Showalter of the Baltimore Orioles of Major League Baseball. For a long time, Baltimore has kind of been sort of fighting with Toronto there in Major League Baseball in the American League East to sort of stay out of the basement of that division. And Baltimore showed that they were, you know, Baltimore was a player this year. And I think they finished, I want to say they finished second in the division. I think they finished higher than the Red Sox. I can't say that for sure. I can't remember 100%. But Buck Showalter came in and took that team and has made Baltimore a contender, has made Baltimore a team you actually have to take a lot of thought into when you're going in to play Baltimore, where before they were kind of an afterthought, sort of. And that is a huge credit to their coach, Buck Showalter, my number 4 Coach of the Year. My number 3 Coach of the Year, Greg Popovich of the San Antonio Spurs in the NBA. And this is just an instance of a coach that has been doing good things for a long time, and despite having a team that's getting older and isn't necessarily as dominant as they used to be, they continue to put up results. San Antonio had a great season last season, and this season they're, again, playing well above what I think most people outside of their fan base would think that they would be playing this year. And again, that is a huge credit to the system and the coaching that Greg Popovich has instilled in the San Antonio Spurs. The San Antonio Spurs are one of the, I'll say it, they're one of the elite franchises as far as I'm concerned in the NBA. One of those few, and I've used the term before, professional franchises. Greg Popovich, my number 3 Coach of the Year. My number 2 Coach of the Year, Mike Shanahan, Washington Redskins of the National Football League. From joke of the division to champion of the division, really basically in one season. And I know we can say, like, well, it wasn't necessarily Shanahan, it was RG3, and with how great RG3 played this year. But you know what? Shanahan took a good thing that he had in RG3, drafting RG3, and turned it into a great thing that really galvanized that team. And when they got off to the rough start there, I think they were 3-6. He took that team on a tear after that point and got them into the playoffs, obviously won their division, hosted a playoff game. Now, of course, they didn't win that playoff game, but they came very, very close. Much can be said about the whole Shanahan system with not knowing who the top running back is and everything. Say what you will about Mike Shanahan. Mike Shanahan's a phenomenal coach, and Mike Shanahan took that team farther this year than the majority of people, even Redskins homers like the masked tweeter. I asked him, tweeter, what's the chances that Washington wins this division? This is back when they were, I don't know, maybe even just at 500 or whatever. He's like, no chance. And what happens? Bam, Redskins win the division. Credit to the coaching. Mike Shanahan, my number 2 Coach of the Year. And my number 1 Coach of the Year in professional sports is the coaching tag team of Chuck Pagano and Bruce Arians, the Indianapolis Colts of the National Football League. Not only were the Indianapolis Colts a 2-win team last year, really, after not having Peyton Manning, this team was in jeopardy of becoming a joke. They get the first overall pick, they sucked for luck, they got Andrew Luck. But just having that one quarterback does not necessarily make a 2-win team a playoff team the next year. That was all Chuck Pagano and Bruce Arians. And Chuck Pagano, of course, there was the huge story this year. Chuck Pagano gets diagnosed with his illness, fighting cancer. We talk about Chuck Strong and just the whole mantra of that team changing, and Bruce Arians stepping in to coach this team when Chuck Pagano couldn't, and Bruce Arians helping to keep this team together, galvanize this team, and this 2-win team that had risked becoming the joke of the National Football League goes on to win a wild card spot and make it to the playoffs for their coach, for their fan base, and the combination of Bruce Arians and Chuck Pagano as a coach of that magical team this year is more than enough for me to bestow the honor of Coach of the Year to Bruce Arians and Chuck Pagano of the Indianapolis Colts. And here it is, Team of the Year. And this one, I had a lot of arguments with Mr. Sports. So if there's anything on this list that you don't agree with, blame Mr. Sports. We start at number 10 with the Atlanta Falcons. The Atlanta Falcons had a great regular season last season, making the playoffs. Yes, they got bounced in the first round, but bounced in the first round to the eventual Super Bowl champion New York Giants. This season, Atlanta was unbeaten through the first, 8 or 9 weeks of the season. They won their division. They won the AFC divisional matchup last week, and tomorrow they are playing the San Francisco 49ers for the right to go to the Super Bowl. Two fantastic regular seasons, two playoff appearances, a potential spot in the Super Bowl this year was enough for me to take the Atlanta Falcons as my number 10 team of the year. Number 9, the San Francisco Giants in Major League Baseball. Of course, World Series champions. Now, granted, I didn't pay as much attention to baseball this year as I typically tend to. Honestly, didn't pay very much attention even to the World Series. The San Francisco Giants had an excellent season this year. Of course, winning the World Series, good enough to get number 9 on my list of top 10 teams of the year. My number 8 team of the year, USA Men's Basketball, the 2012 Dream Team in the Olympics. And you know what? They ran over everybody, and you can't expect any different with the team that they were able to put together for the Olympics this year. But USA Men's Basketball is, of course, the class of the world when it comes to basketball. It's basically the USA, Spain, Argentina, and everybody else. And even with Spain and Argentina, you got Argentina, Spain, and USA Men's Basketball is just way, way up there. So the USA Men's Basketball gold medal winning team from the Olympic Games this year in London, number 8 team of the year. My number 7 team of the year is the New Jersey Devils. Now, the New Jersey Devils, I believe, began the year out of playoff contention in the National Hockey League. I may be wrong in saying that, but I feel like they were, if they were in, they were only like maybe number 8, number 7, something like that. Of course, with arguably the greatest goaltender of all time, Martin Brodeur, had an excellent second half of the NHL season last season, got into the playoffs. Most people expected them to be a first-round casualty. I, on the other hand, firmly believed that the New Jersey Devils were going to be able to make noise in the playoffs last year, and boy did they ever. They got in there, they made it all the way to the Stanley Cup championships against the Los Angeles Kings, came up a little bit short, but Martin Brodeur multiple times through that playoff run turned back the clock and looked unbeatable at times. The New Jersey Devils, number 7 best team of the year. Number 6 is the Denver Broncos of the National Football League. Now, of course, they started this year rather auspiciously, making the playoffs as around an 8-8 team, I think, last year. Of course, had Jesus' best friend, Tim Tebow, as quarterback. They won that playoff game against Pittsburgh on a forward pass from an illegal formation, but they still won the game. This year, they bring in Peyton Manning, who they didn't even know whether he'd be able to throw or not, and all they did was compile a 13-3 regular season. In the playoffs this year, they did lose that heartbreaking 38-35 game against the Baltimore Ravens, but Denver had a phenomenal regular season this year. They really looked like the class of the AFC for the majority of the season, and based on the fact that it's back-to-back playoff appearances, I'm going to give it to them. The Denver Broncos, number 6 best team of the year. Number 5 best team of the year goes to Canada's women's soccer team. The national team, of course, went to the Olympics. Nobody expected them to really make any noise, and they came within a corrupt referee of getting to the gold medal game in women's soccer at the London Olympics. Now, you, me, and everybody else that pays any attention to soccer knows that that referee screwed Canada out of beating the U.S. in the semifinals. Canada should have won that game. Canada women's soccer came together, won the bronze medal game when no one would have predicted that Canada women's soccer would medal based on coming out of nowhere, and nobody would have thought that that was going to happen. Canada women's soccer, my number 5 best team of the year. Number 4 is the New York Giants. Now, of course, the New York Giants did not make the playoffs in the NFL this year, but we go back to last year. The Giants make it in as, I believe, a wild card team. They bounced the Atlanta Falcons in the first round. They bounced the San Francisco 49ers in the NFC Championship game. They go on to the Super Bowl to play the New England Patriots. They bounce the Patriots, and they win the Super Bowl last year. And just very few people, I think, would have thought. Again, if you watch my playoff prediction videos from last year, I was betting against the Giants the whole way. And they just bounced team after team after team. It's a great franchise. They had another good season this year. Just fell a little bit short of making the playoffs there. They hit a rough patch. New York Giants, it was still good enough for me to give them my number 4 team of the year. Number 3 team of the year is the New England Patriots. The New England Patriots, of course, looking now at back-to-back potential Super Bowl appearances. They play the Baltimore Ravens tomorrow in the AFC Championship game for the chance to go on to the Super Bowl and really avenge that loss in the Super Bowl from last year. People talk about the Patriots dynasty as if it was in the past tense. Honestly, I think the Patriots dynasty is still ongoing. I don't necessarily think you have to win a championship to be part of a dynasty. And this is a team that every year they are one of the classes of the NFL. They're one of those professional franchises. Tom Brady and the Hood, Bill Belichick, one of the really elite systems in sports. And the reason I say that is when you're the New England Patriots, you can plug in virtually anyone in your lineup, and because the system itself is so good, you still end up being victorious. See Shane Vereen last week. So the New England Patriots, to me, my number 3 best team of the year. Number 2 best team of the year is the Miami Heat in the National Basketball Association, and how can you not give them a high ranking when they go out and they buy a championship? Of course, the Heat made waves when they brought in both LeBron James and who I really think is an underrated player in Chris Bosh. And you look at the supporting cast that they had in there, guys like Mario Chalmers. They put together a fantastic team. They ran through the NBA regular season, ended up winning the NBA championship. And again, it's hard not to put them very high when you go out and you buy a championship. But in any case, the Miami Heat, phenomenal season in the NBA. They're having another really good season so far. This season, they're my number 2 best team of the year. And my number 1 best team in professional sports of 2012, the Los Angeles Kings in the National Hockey League. And how in the world can you not give it to these guys? The LA Kings were struggling when we turned the calendar over to 2012, struggling, looking like they probably weren't going to make the playoffs. They make a coaching change, and they just take off from there. They go on a tear in the latter part of the season, make the playoffs as the number 8 seed, and do what no professional hockey team, maybe no professional sports team, had ever done. As the bottom seed in their conference, they knocked off the number 1 seed, division winner, gone. Number 2 seed, division winner, gone. Number 3 seed, division winner, gone. And then win the Stanley Cup. And I honestly don't believe that any other team in professional sports can say that they bounced 3 division winners and then went on to win their sports championship. And the Los Angeles Kings did just that. They made history, certainly within the NHL, but even within the whole lexicon of professional sports. And that's why they are my choice for best team of 2012. There you go, ladies and gentlemen. We gave out 3 awards in this video. We'll just go over them one more time. Asshole of the Year I gave to the NHL, NHLPA, NHL owners, and NHL players. Coach of the Year, number 5, was Ken Hitchcock of the St. Louis Blues in the NHL. Number 4 was Buck Showalter, Baltimore Orioles, Major League Baseball. Number 3, Greg Popovich, San Antonio Spurs, NBA. Mike Shanahan, Washington Redskins, National Football League. And the combination of Bruce Arians and Chuck Pagano, Indianapolis Colts, National Football League. And on my list of Team of the Year, number 10 was the NFL's Atlanta Falcons. Number 9 was Major League Baseball's San Francisco Giants. Number 8 was USA Men's Basketball, the national team at the Olympics. Number 7, the NHL's New Jersey Devils. Number 6, the NFL's Denver Broncos. Number 5, Canada Women's Soccer, the national team at the 2012 Olympics. Number 4, the NFL's New York Giants. Number 3, the NFL's New England Patriots. Number 2, NBA's Miami Heat. And number 1, the National Hockey League's Los Angeles Kings. That's it for those. We gave, again, 3 awards in this video. Come back in the next video. We're going to be continuing our sports awards. We're going to be giving out the top 10 Canadian athletes of the year and the top 10 overall athletes of the year. So I hope you come back and join me on the next video. That's it for me, Justin, Bridgewater's Finest on YouTube, Blockbuster_guy, and I hope you're enjoying the 2012 Bridgewater's Finest Awards.